Thank you.
Also, when you called out Preston just now, it made me realize, isn't it sad how many people we used to be able to call out versus how many people we can call out now?
Yeah.
Because less people that we know listen.
Yeah.
We have the same listener base as a whole, but less people we know listened than did during season 2. We used to be able to call out Karis.
Yeah.
She will not hear this. We used to be able to call out our wives. Sad. We used to be able to call out each other. Do you listen to episodes you're not on? Be honest.
No. I've listened to 2 episodes.
Yeah, I would. I'll be honest. I don't think I would either. I listen to them all because I'm on them because I edit them. I have to be
That's
here.
valid. Yeah.
But I will gladly give that up and probably not. You know what? Actually, I'd probably listen. Just because of my vested interest. But anyway, that's decided.
You want to know something interesting? So a while ago, we answered a voicemail to.
Yes. Oh, we got to do some more.
We answered a voicemail that I took charge of. His name was Micah Massengill. Hey, bud.
Oh yeah.
Because he was asking a question and we were confused by it. I don't know if you remember this, but
he was your camper, right?
Yeah, he was my camper. Well, here's the connection. All right, so I'm married to Megan. Megan's sister is getting married. The guy that she is marrying has a sister. That sister, Micah, is also marrying. So now we have this clear lineage of like, oh, there's 2 families that we're combining. So
the way you said that made it sound like the same woman is marrying 2 men. I know you didn't say it like that, but just because of the phrasing of he is also marrying her, I was like, oh, he's not the only one marrying her. That would be cool. It'd be like reverse Mormonism.
Yeah, dude, reverse Mormonism. Put it back on the ground, Joseph.
Well, shout out Micah.
Congrats, Micah.
I'm going to mention just a couple things from my letterbox randomly.
Please.
That I've seen recently. So I mentioned the greatest band of all time earlier, ELO. And they have their worst song. Unfortunately, as great as they are, they do have a song that I think is their worst. Many people view it as their best. It's one of their most popular. It's their highest chart-topping hit, and that's "Don't Bring Me Down." I think "Don't Bring Me Down" is fine. I never listened to it. Just not a fan of that song. As a whole, it's fine. So, in the same way that my favorite band has a song that doesn't really vibe with me, and I think is, as even though it's fine, it's the worst of the ones, right?
Yeah.
That I've experienced.
Yeah.
So the same is true for my favorite director of all time, John Carpenter.
Okay.
And I have now watched the worst John Carpenter movie that I have seen personally. There's still a few on the list. I've heard Memoirs of an Invisible Man with Chevy Chase is terrible, and I've heard that Ghosts of Mars is ultra terrible. Those I have yet to experience. But the one that I watched that I knew didn't have great reviews is Village of the Damned. And I'll say this, it is not terrible. I didn't think it would be terrible. It's got like mid reviews. It's whatever. Mm-hmm. It is a remake of a classic old black and white movie called Village of the Damned. Carpenter liked to do that, The Thing and whatever. Village of the Damned was not great, but it was not great in like a kind of way. It's not great in a kind of way. It's not great in a kind of way. Let me explain. So, it's like meh. It's like it's not great. It's mid because it's mid. It's just like yeah.
Yeah.
This is not that. This is one of the movies where the stuff that's good about it is great, and the stuff that's bad about it is really freaking stupid, like really dumb, really bad. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and there's no in between. So, the premise of the movie is there's a small town on the coast, and the freaking people. There's these evil that should. Everybody in town passes out. A bunch of people die because people are driving. One guy passes out on the grill at the barbecue.
Yeah.
Gruesome. They're asleep for 10 hours or something, 6 hours. And then they wake up and they slowly find out that all the women in the entire town are pregnant. All the of age women that are in the that haven't hit menopause. They're all pregnant, and something happened while they were asleep that made them all pregnant, and there's this weird supernatural thing going on. Long story short, spoilers, aliens did it, and they impregnated them with their alien babies. And so all these kids are born, and they're humans. They look like humans, but they're really creepy. They learn to talk really early. They can read really early. They're ultra intelligent. And turns out when they get old enough, they can read minds. And they have psycho powers to be able to control your mind to make you kill yourself if they don't like you. And this whole little band of 10 children that were all there, the town tries to raise them. And the government's like, here's some money to help raise them because we know this is aliens. And there's nothing you can do about it. Or that we know it's weird. Anyway... And then we quickly realize the children are just evil, and they're going to grow up to dominate humans with their mind control, and something must be done. And so they blow them all up, except for one who has a touch of humanity within him. Here's why it's stupid. Here's the things that don't work. Yeah. You cannot hinge your entire movie on child actors who are 8 years old, whose entire job is to be emotionless and cold and stare at the camera. It's so uncompelling. It's the movie. The first third of the movie is genuinely amazing. It's so good. It is classic. It's what makes John Carpenter so good. Every character is so unique and interesting and funny and like you immediately like all the characters.
Yeah.
Tons of famous actors in this movie. The main role is Christopher Reeve, and he knocks it out of the park. He's way too good for this movie. He does amazing. And some of his lines are really corny, and he delivers them with full gusto. He's into it. And so the first third of the movie is great before you know what's going on. And then once the kids are born, then you're just like, okay, there's evil kids in the town, and they're just like being raised by humans that they think are lesser than them, and they have no emotions. And so I'm supposed to be scared of a little white-haired kid that just like stares at the camera. It's not very compelling. And then once you know what's going on, there's no mystery, and then you're just waiting for the inevitable, which is either they kill everybody or everybody kills them. So what's the point? 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I would say one other thing that is criticizable about that movie was the child genocide. Yeah. I also watched... okay, before that, do you recommend that I watch it? Either just because you like it enough to recommend it, or because you think it's worth
Village of the
to
Damned?
watch? Yeah.
Yes, I do, because my not qualified score would be a 45.
Okay.
Which means I like it more than I dislike it, and it's worth a watch. But watch it on if you're gonna watch all of John Carpenter's movies, put it toward the end.
It's not urgent.
It's not a priority.
Okay. Also, I forgot to add this earlier. The Divergent trilogy gets a whopping 48.
That's actually good.
But it's only better than it is worse because it's so funnily dumb. It's so funny to watch because it's so bad. Those really dumb movies. I also watched, I don't remember the name of it. It's a Hulu horror movie with Sarah Paulson. It's about Dust Bowl, Oklahoma.
Oh, never mind.
It is called Hold Your Breath.
Okay.
And they
Not to be confused with Don't Breathe.
Yeah. Hold Your Breath, Don't Breathe. Do one of the two. I don't care. In this movie, the mom is like taking care of her kids, and it's the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma. And the kids are like telling scary stories about this guy called the Gray Man, where it's like, it's like a spooky story from like a spooky ghost book. And then this random guy shows up, Eben Moss Backrack from The Bear, for real ones out there. He shows up and he's like, I'm just here to like take refuge in your barn from the storm. Also, I can help out with some stuff. And she's like, okay, fine. I'll put down my guard, like my safeguards. You can help us out. And then you find out that he murdered her husband, who's off at a work site somewhere to send money back home. He murdered him to like install his coat. And he's also kind of a ghost. And then they all catch tuberculosis, and then she's sick, I don't get it.
You're making up plot points.
No, those are just the ones I remember.
Okay.
It was there are more plot points, but the movie is so mid that I couldn't help but just keep checking my phone for stuff to do. So
Cup
57.
Okay.
It wasn't great.
But it wasn't but.
But it wasn't but. That's true.
It could be worse. Well, okay. And that was called Hold Your Breath?
Hold Your Breath.
So you don't recommend it, I'm guessing.
No. Spend your time doing something else.
Here's what is going to happen. As I am going to grab a drink, and you are going to give not qualified rankings to different types of pasta till I return.
Okay. Pasta. 3. Probably just heard me breathing really heavily. Because I had to fart. Big fart. Big doo-doo. No. My favorite pasta probably is, I guess, fettuccine, but it's just because it has a lot of surface area, so there's a lot of area for sauce to be covered.
Lasagna?
Fettuccine.
What's got the highest rating so far?
I don't know.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. That was very good.
Thanks.
So, one more thing, a couple real quick things I'll mention. I'm going to save a lot of the horror stuff because my father wants to be on an episode and talk about horror movies. Maybe that'll be our Halloween episode. It'll probably come late because Halloween's in 10 days, but I don't know. But I will talk about a couple things that are horror-ish from my Letterboxd. I watched Black Swan for the first time.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, have you seen it?
No. No.
Okay. So my synopsis is it's like imagine Whiplash combined with Birdman, but significantly worse than both of those movies.
Great.
Yeah. It's like, oh, my teacher's too harsh on me. Oh, I'm going crazy. I don't know what's real and what's not. Oh, I'm turning into a bird. I'm not kidding. It's all those plot points are in there, except imagine that with like 4 or 5 scenes where the main character commits hand wiener. You know what I'm saying? Got it. Lighthouse, except female, but lighthouse type of thing. So not hand wiener, but whatever.
Hand cleaner.
Yeah, so it's that, and it's very uncomfortable and overly pervy and weird, and clearly made by Darren Aronofsky, which it is. So, if the shoe fits, I guess.
Respect.
Probably don't recommend that one. I'd probably give it a 59. Cool. And then the other thing I was going to mention is that I watched Mike Flanagan. I love Mike Flanagan. Yeah. You know I love me some Mike Flanagan. Yeah. I love Haunting a Hill House. I love me some Midnight Mass. I love me some Oculus. So he's been just making Netflix. He's been making Netflix original shows the past 10 years. Yeah. And he made another one last Halloween called The Fall of the House of Usher, based on an Edgar Allan Poe story of the same name. And it combines a whole bunch of Edgar Allan Poe stories into one narrative. Have you seen it?
Nope. I don't have Netflix.
Oh, you can have mine. Wait, no, they don't let you do that anymore.
No, they don't let me do that. That's why we don't have it.
Follow House of Usher was really good. Also, way too much weird content and scenes that you have to fast forward through because
like
the characters suck so bad.
American Horror Story.
Yeah, not quite that bad. Maybe, honestly, maybe, because there's some pretty rough stuff in the season. But it was a good story. It was compelling. It'd be higher if it weren't for all the content, but I'm probably going to give it a 39.
Okay. Still pretty solid.
Yep.
Did we talk about Inside Out 2?
No, I have not seen it.
Oh.
Go for it.
I watched that in theaters. It was pretty good. 36.
Cool, full review.
Yep.
That painting behind you makes me really nostalgic.
The Pelican?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I got married, I said, I don't care where this goes, but we're keeping it. And she said, all right. So it goes into the bedroom that she doesn't go into.
Nice.
So that was our compromise.
Nice.
I'm sure I've seen other movies.
Me too.
Yeah. I watched. Okay, this is a movie I watched like 2 nights ago. It's called The Alpinist.
I've heard of it.
It's a documentary. Did you watch Free Solo?
I have heard of it, but I've not watched it.
It's about this guy called Alex Honnold. And he free solos, which means he doesn't use any ropes or protection. He just looks at a mountain and he climbs it. No gear, just hands and chalk. So it's pretty dangerous sport because if you fall, you die. You're
done.
And there's this other guy. I kept seeing like reviews or just like suggestions like, oh, if you thought Free Solo was crazy, you should watch The Alpinist. And yeah, no, they were right. It's about this guy whose name I don't remember. I'm sorry, guy whose name I don't remember. Died on my birthday. Heads up, spoiler alert. It's the story of this guy who does the same stuff. He looks at a mountain and he goes, you know, I'm just going to climb that mountain. No gear. Except he does it with like icy mountain peaks in random like remote areas of like Alaska and like South America during the winter season, where like you have to ice pick your way up half of it, and then because the snow melted off part of it, you've got to switch your boots while hanging from a mountain to rock climb, and then you got to like once you get back to ice, you got to switch all your gear again mid hanging to go back to ice picks and like boots with like little claw things on them. Wild movie. I think I watched it at like probably like a pucker level 8 the whole movie, and spoiler alert, he dies because it's an insane thing to do, and also I'd give it like a 34.
He dies after the camera crew is following him?
They were like, we were in the middle of editing the movie, and then he went off to find a mountain in Alaska during a weather window where the weather was going to be really clear and not blizzardy, and then tragedy struck, and his girlfriend was... His girlfriend, well, they had already made it to the peak, and he sent like a video to his girlfriend, and they were like, hey, we're going to like head down the mountain, so it's going to be like a full day for us, so we're going to get going. Bye. And then they didn't hear from him for a couple days, and she's like, something's wrong. And then the blizzard comes in, and then they can't go look for him for like 4 days. And then after 4 days, they bring a helicopter, and on the mountain, they see a sheet of snow that had come in through the storm, and they see like a little gap of like 10 feet, and they see a rope in between the gap, and they're like, their bodies are probably under there. We can't get them. Deuces.
So they tried to climb across and fell?
No. Yeah, they tried to like, during the descent of this mountain, they got caught in the storm and an avalanche, and it covered him up.
People are insane. The stuff people do, man. Did you see Grizzly Man?
No.
I still haven't seen it either, but that's the one I've heard many times about. Let's talk about things we haven't seen.
Okay. I still haven't seen all of Casablanca.
I have, dude. That's a great movie. Have you ever seen The Rain?
The Rain?
Yeah, I want to know.
No. Was it?
Come on.
Question: was it coming down at all during like clear, sunny day?
Looking out my back door?
My brother died from a blood transfusion with HIV. I
saw a video of an interview with John Fogerty.
Yeah.
Explaining that when he wrote Bad Moon Rising and the situation and like this and that, and he was experimenting with this guitar and these amps, and he played it. That dude is like he's been playing guitar for however many years now, you know, and singing and whatever. He still sucks at guitar. Man, he doesn't suck. He doesn't suck, but he just like chonks that thing. He just like plays regular open chords and chonks. You know, he's doing nothing fancy, and it sounds amazing. So good for him.
Good for him. Yeah, I hope to not be at that level by the time I'm his age.
But
that's
if you were
how,
doing that and making his money, you wouldn't get better either.
Dude, that's how, if I'm not wrong, I think Thin Lizzy, or no, maybe Twisted Sister. We're not going to take it. If I'm not wrong, they were early in their career when that, like, around the time that song came out, were like, could barely play guitar. We're like, is this a G? Does this sound good? Hold on, let me try it. And they would, like,
wow.
The producers were like, I'm going to tear my eyes out of my head. This is bad.
Can you imagine if we got famous whenever we wrote Marijuana, I Don't Wanna?
Here's the thing. I think us, along with a lot of other people that are out there that are even more talented than us, were they born in 1943, would be famous.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Had they had, like, I'm going to write about my dad going to the war.
That's because that's what rock and roll did. Because in that era, from like the 40s through the 70s, you had two ends of the spectrum in terms of you're going to be famous. And it's either you just were like, I mean, it is a spectrum, so there's people in between.
Yeah.
But it's either like you are technically proficient and a genius and so insanely good that you're going to be famous. That's like jazz musicians and like Chet Atkins.
Yeah.
Like Chet Atkins was like a god on the guitar. And then the other end of the spectrum is like CCR, where you're just like, it's all about soul. And like, I love CCR. It's not a dig. That's just like literally, it's simple music and it's like pure Americana. And it's just like, or Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is not a very good, like, singer or guitar player. He's a better guitar player than he is a singer. But he's a great songwriter and a great storyteller. And so people just gravitate toward him.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you have a mix of everything in between. Like people like Paul Simon are classically trained, insane guys, but they gravitate toward the folk stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just funny because it's like rock and roll made it so that anybody could be famous. And it's more about, do you speak to people and do people resonate with your music than are you just the best jazz guitarist? Because if you wanted to be a guitarist in 1930, you had to just be the best guitarist. Nobody's out there. There's no platforms and, you know, like, and part of that's just media, like radio and TV and everything changed. It's more about building a fan base than being the best. So, but there was that overlap there where now it's all about just fan base. No pop singers are talented because they don't need to be. There's like Charlie Puth is the only one I can think of that like is musically proficient, you know, but then, you know, 100 years ago, it was the opposite. It was technically proficient over can you attract a crowd. But that middle era where rock and roll was at its best was where it overlapped. So
thanks, Peter Frampton.
Thank you, Peter Frampton.
What was written in your book? What movie?
Mimic, directed by Guillermo del Toro.
No, I didn't watch it. Directed
by Ballistic Gel Torso. Well, here's my thoughts about Mimic. I like Guillermo del Toro. That was the other thing I was going to mention. I was going to say real quick on my letterbox, the two best movies I watched since in the last couple months. I don't know when's the last time we recorded. That are not rewatches because I rewatched lots of great stuff that's on my top 5, you know. but the best new 2 watches, and one of them I've technically seen before, but it was in theaters when it came out. I don't remember anything. Is Hellboy 2.
Yeah.
Hellboy 1 is one of my top 20 movies ever. I love Hellboy so much. And the second one I saw in theaters and then never watched again, and then it didn't really understand. You know what I mean? I was too young. I rewatched that on Netflix. It is a perfect sequel superhero movie. That's what all summer blockbuster popcorn flicks should be like. Hellboy 2. Take note, Transformers and Fast and Furious, because that's what you need to make. Is that what's Hellboy 2? It is like the Spider-Man 2 of dumber movies. It is it is like a perfect. It takes everything about the first one and makes it just better and bigger, but with more emotion, and I don't know. It's so good. Hellboy 2 is so good. I haven't stopped thinking about it. I love that movie. I love Hellboy 2. I want to kiss Hellboy 2 under the bleachers. I want to hold Hellboy 2's hand and take him home to meet my parents. I want Hellboy 2 to get down on one knee and make me his wife for all the rest of our days, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. I like that movie.
Would you play 7 Minutes in Heaven with Hellboy 2?
I would play MASH with Hellboy 2.
It's a good movie.
No, not MASH the movie. I like how you went to the movie, not the TV show, too. That's really funny. Although it did come first. So, Mimic. The other best movie I saw. I have to remind myself. Let's see. What is it? Vertigo. Hitchcock. That is the best Hitchcock movie that I've seen. It is incredible. There's nothing more to say. And the twist is insane. Everything about it, it holds up so well. I love that movie.
What did you watch it on?
I think I bought it on Amazon Prime with my dad's money.
Right on. I have it on DVD. And by I have it on DVD, I mean I have Seif's DVD.
I have it on VHS.
I just have
no
never
way to
watched
play
it. Yeah. What was the...
You need to.
Oh, Megalopolis. That's on Amazon Prime. That's what I was thinking. Why would I watch Vertigo? Babylon. Yeah. I'll just watch that instead.
Okay. And then the worst movie I've seen in the past few months is Watchers, made by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. That movie sucks so bad that I want it to be chopped into pieces and fed to me.
Yummy.
It actually sucks. Don't ever watch that movie. It's so bad and so stupid. Although, I don't know. I'll give it an 11 because it's not It's not like bad. It could be worse. No, it's really, really bad.
Yeah.
Here's the movie in my notebook, though. Speaking of Hellboy 2, Guillermo del Toro directed Mimic. I don't remember most about it. I remember I didn't like it very much. I remember it felt like a studio cash grab movie, and it was soulless, and the plot made no sense, and it was really boring, and everything just took place in rooms of people talking. It never actually showed you the action. Okay? Yeah. Here's what I wrote down, and I don't know if any of these notes are going to make sense because I intended to make an episode about this shortly after I wrote these. Okay? Awesome intro. So I guess the beginning of the movie was great. Good. Great atmosphere. Defs has that early 2000s, late 90s feel, like Hellboy. So it's got that gritty, early, that feel. Some bad acting. Okay, there's a first negative note. Weirdly unknown for a big studio flick. I did think that was weird. This is like a big budget, like a studio was like, here, let's pick a director and give him lots of money to make a movie. Yeah. And then it was completely unknown. That's very strange. This note just says Spoon Kid Deliverance. I don't know what that means, but I do know there was a kid who played like spoons in the movie. Yeah. And maybe he reminded me of the banjo kid from Deliverance. Maybe that was the connection.
Okay. That's ominous.
Yes, it was. Quote from the movie. He's really good at that. What? Clacking?
Okay.
I don't know what I intended to say about that quote, but there it is. Bucktooth Kid sucks. I'll be honest, I don't remember a Bucktooth Kid, but he must have been in there, and I'm sure he sucked. Right. Great shoe slime. I do remember that. There's a scene where they pull a shoe out of some slime, and it's such good practical effects. I was like, why can't the whole movie be that? I'd be grossed out, but at least I'd be enjoying it. And then it says, not campy enough, or too campy. Needs to decide. And that's the problem with this movie. It needed to either go full camp or just try to be serious and scary, because it was neither. It was just boring and lame and completely wooden and not worth your watch. So I do recommend it. And then there's a note in here that says, I love you, from Kate, my wife. I don't know when she added that, but there it is.
Right on. What would you give the movie?
Give me just a sec. What did I give it on Letterboxd?
There it is.
So I gave it, 2, which translates to, I'd probably have to give it a 64.
Oh, okay.
It's not good. I don't recommend it.
Okay, cool. Then
No, it was actually, it's a short movie, and it took me a week to get through. It was so uninteresting.
You want to know, that's actually the last time I experienced something like that was watching Avatar.
The first one?
Yeah, whenever me and the boys first moved into that house on Allen Street, or Allen Road, we hadn't set up Wi-Fi yet. And it was the first month we were living there, and I was like,
That was when we watched Tangled 9 times.
Yeah, dude, Tangled. So what's up? I'd give Tangled like a 20. We had a CD case full of movies, and we were like, we're just picking through them, trying to pass the time. And I took that one into my bedroom, put it in my Xbox, and I was like, I guess I'm just going to watch this movie. And I would watch 20 minutes of it and go, I'm really bored. And then I would just go to sleep instead.
Yeah, because it's like soulless.
Yeah.
It's just like a generic blockbuster.
Yeah.
It's because it didn't have Tobey Maguire.
It's because it didn't have Tobey Maguire.
What would you rate this episode on a not qualified scale?
Bro, probably like a 2.
Dude. So people need to like start with this episode?
They need to start with this episode, then go back to the first one.
That would be Whiplash.
Dude, we have an episode. I don't think I've seen anything else.
That's okay. We'll keep talking on the next episode.
The next episode, by the way, you would talk about that earlier. What's our next episode about? Give us a little preview.
Imagine you're walking through the woods. A man comes up to you. He's short. Not too short, but he's short. He says to you, well, first he presents a briefcase. He says, I will give you $100 or whatever's in this briefcase. You say you want the briefcase. You open it, $100. And the man says, I bet you feel stupid now. You might as well have just taken the money. And you say no, because now I have a thing to carry the money in, which is this briefcase. And he says, you fooled me once. Shame on you. Shame on me. Fool me twice. I'm George W. Bush from Vice. And then fat Dick Cheney, Christian Bale says, I want money and power. Fast forward 40 years. You work as a desk clerk at Baskin-Robbins. It is now a Fortune 500 finance company. It's no longer selling ice cream, but it is frozen when the stocks freeze. So like when the government freezes the stocks, Baskin comes to you. He's reincarnated. His head was frozen. He comes to you. Baskin says, I need you to work on cloning Robbins because I'm nothing without him and I miss his smooth, gentle, silky touch. You say, I have just the thing. You pull out your briefcase and in it is $100. Currency has been outlawed. There's no more currency. But because you have a $100 bill, there's a good chance it was touched by Baskin-Robbins at some point in his life because currency changes hands all the time. And you say, we can comb this for DNA and clone Robbins so that Baskin doesn't have to be alone anymore. Turns out Robbins was actually Baskin the whole time, and Baskin is the one who's dead, but you're Baskin, and you didn't know it because your memory was wiped by the goblin in the woods with the briefcase. So next week, we're probably going to talk about Longlegs or just horror movies in general for Halloween.
Or the movie Imagine. Before we go, I do have one more thing, and it falls into that other category of not movies that we don't touch on super often anymore.
Okay.
I finally finished The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Dude, what a good game.
I give
Did you like it?
I give it a 2.
It's so good.
It's
in
not my
top 5
favorite,
games of all time.
but if my favorite wasn't there, which is Oblivion, it would be in that spot.
That's how I feel. It was that good. It was like the best RPG I've ever played besides Morrowind. It's so good.
It's incredible.
Did you play the expansions?
Yep.
Yeah, dude. Everything about that game is flawless. I love it.
In fact, I finished everything except the main storyline because I knew that the odds of me going back and like playing around on it were really slim. So I was like, I'm going to do as much as I can for as long as I can. And then whenever I finally feel like I'm done with the game, I'm going to finish it and just probably not pick it up again for another like 5 years. So I did everything and then finished the game, then went to my house in Tucson.
Dude.
And Yennefer was there. That's the choice I made. Yennefer was waiting for me.
Mind blown.
God, babe. And I made
the same choice.
I changed Geralt into like normal, like a flowy white shirt and just like regular pants. I hung up all of my weapons that I used throughout the game, and I just sat there with her while she was sitting on the little comfy chair, and I stared out at the sunset, and then I logged out of the game.
We had the same game experience. I didn't do that. I didn't do all that, right? But in terms of the choices you made and that house in Tucson, that vineyard house is so good.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah, that game is amazing. The witches and the swamp quest literally freaks me out to this day when I think about it. It's so scary.
Yeah.
I don't know. That game is so good. I love it. Give it a 2 as well. My 1 is Morrowind, and then 2's is a short list. You're going to have like Oblivion. You're going to have that. You're going to have Red Dead 1 and 2, and then you'll have Breath of the Wild. That's my 2's.
Yeah.
Maybe Dishonored.
We're going to have a very similar 2's list. My 1 is Oblivion. My 2's are Witcher 3.
Red Dead.
Red Dead 1 and 2, like you said. Probably Breath of the Wild. And Dragon Age Origins.
That's a good game.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a video game episode soon.
Video game. Dragon Age, they came out with a stupid name for it. The Veilguard, I think is the name for the new game. Okay. Bad name. Anyways, Dragon Age 4 is supposed to be coming out this month. And I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about it early on. Or I should say mixed reviews about what people think it's going to be like. So, who knows? I want to play it. But here's the thing. I want to play it. Another game I also want to play that would probably wind up in my number 2 spot as well is Baldur's Gate 3. But I don't have a PC, nor do I have an Xbox Series X. So I'm probably just going to be waiting for like anywhere between 5 to 7 years before I play any of these games.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know what they say.
No, I don't.
The cookie always crinkles.
Oh. I didn't know they said that.
They don't.
Oh.
It was a test. The briefcase is yours.
Thanks.
Any last words for the people?
I'm
going to split this into 2 episodes. This will last us a month.
Okay. If you guys are having a nice little night in and you're staying up late, today's episode is brought to you by Milwaukee's Best Ice. 5.9% and 32 ounces.
What do you give it?
I give it like a 56.
Yeah, do you recommend it?
No. It's not good.
On my end, this episode has been brought to you by Coors Light and root beer. Not mixed. Not mixed. Okay. Don't worry.
All right.
I will give both of those things a flat 50. Actually, Coors Light's grown on me in terms of like cheap beers.
Yeah.
I like Coors better than Bud. I like it better than Michelob or any of those, or any of like the Keystone, like the really cheap stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't like it as much as any of the good ones, the good cheap beers. Like Coors Light is not as good as Coors Banquet, which is probably the best of the light lagers. And then like Miller High Life is better, you know. But and then
champagne.
Yeah, the champagne and beers. And up from there, obviously you've got like the actual like mid-grade good beers like Corona or Modelo or whatever, and then above that you've got more like middling whatever stuff, and then you got like Fat Tire, and then you get into like the craft beers and all that stuff, and then you go up 2,000 miles all the way to the very tip top, and do you know what you find? You find Frio 6.0.
Amen, brother.
Which I have not had since we were in college.
I haven't seen it since we were in college.
I don't even know where you buy that anymore.
I don't know. But
there
rest
you go.
in peace.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you have nothing else to say, I'm going to click stop, and then I'm going to say goodbye to you.
No.